Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am Ramona Malott, Dean of the College of Education at NAU. I have been at NAU for the last 30 years. The picture you see in the background is the College of Education on the Flagstaff Mountain campus. I'm so pleased that you have taken the time to view this video and learn from one of our outstanding faculty, Dr. Ali Conan. Dr. Conan has a bachelor's degree in elementary education, a master's degree in mental health counseling, and a doctoral degree in curriculum and instruction, with an emphasis on educating diverse populations through critical literacy and integrated technologies. She is a national board certified teacher and an Arizona master teacher. With over 19 years in the public school system in both Florida and Arizona, she brings a unique and real worldview of today's struggles and triumphs as an educator. Ali is passionate about bringing authentic learning experiences to all students through place-based and project-based experiences, and to ensure every student has access to a highly qualified teacher. Dr. Conant is a lead faculty, and she teaches and mentors students in our BSED elementary education programs, which is part of the CC to NAU programs at Glendale Community College and Yavapai Community College. Ali is an excellent instructor, and I invite you to sit back and enjoy her lesson on creating a culturally responsive library. Thank you, Ali.
Hi, my name is Dr. Ali Conan, and I am so excited to be sharing with you today one of my favorite parts of being a teacher, and that is designing a classroom library. We all know as educators that one of the best ways to foster the love of learning in our students is by creating these experiences and offering multiple opportunities for our students to engage with high quality text. However, these classroom libraries need to be very intentionally put together. Today, we're going to talk about designing a classroom library that is diverse and really speaks to a culturally responsive learning environment for our students. So I'm going to share with you just a few simple strategies and tips in order to make sure that the texts that you are choosing for your students are the absolute best. So designing and building diverse classroom libraries is a very, very important topic of discussion and something that we all need to embrace as educators. You know, we talk about literature and text as being windows and mirrors for our students. As a window, what we are offering our students when they are engaged in high quality text is the opportunity to gain multiple perspectives outside of their everyday life. It exposes them to global happenings and really helps them see the world through multiple perspectives. And then when we talk about texts and books as mirrors, we're talking about the fact that students need to see themselves in the pages of those texts. They need to see themselves accomplishing great things. They need to be able to connect with others of the same culture, of the same ethnicity, of the same race, and to see the triumphs that they have been able to accomplish in order for them to instill within themselves that motivation to continue to learn and strive to be the best they can possibly be. So when we're putting together our libraries, we need to really be, again, very intentional with how we are opening up the windows and, of course, how we are allowing our students to see themselves within the pages of the books that we choose for them to be reading. So in order to kind of bring the mirror into focus, wanted to just give you a real quick overview of the textbooks that are out there right now and that are, I would say, more mainstream. And so if you look at this initial graphic, it shows you the diversity in children's books in 2015. And as you look at the statistics, it's clear that a majority of the textbooks and the literature that is written and that our students have access to really represent the white culture. About 73% of all of the characters in children's literature are white. And so as you look across the spectrum here, you notice that there are many cultures and ethnicities that are not represented in books. So when you start to talk about the mirror and the students being able to see themselves grow and in positive lights, it's not as accessible to all cultures. Now, fast forward a few years to 2018, and you can see a little bit of a shift, but there's still not enough. It's not equally represented within our children's literature. So what we need to make sure we are doing is being very intentional in the text that we are bringing into our classrooms, again, to ensure that we are embracing all of the greatness of the community that we are serving, and to continue to foster the love of learning and motivation to do the best they can for all of our students. So what I'd like to do is just take you through a couple of really simple protocols on selecting and using culturally responsive literature within your classroom. So just some real basic understanding. So as you start to look at your current classroom library, think about the fact that your book should include, right? And they should be representative of multiple cultures, languages, and ethnicities that represent your learning community and beyond. Books should show children who are bicultural or should show bicultural experiences of children. It should celebrate immigrants and refugee experiences and open up windows into those spaces. Positively showing many different lifestyles. So books should include, opportunities for students to learn about adoptive families, adopted children, single parent households, LGBTQ families, foster families, multi-generational families, etc., all in a positive light. And again, this making sure that the characters that are portrayed within the text that we're reading are showing children in active roles that break stereotypes. So this is just kind of a frame for us as we continue to move forward. Now, these are just a few of my favorite books at the moment. One of the things that I have learned over the years is that my library needs to shift and change with society. So it needs to really be representative of not only my learning community, but also of the community and the society happenings currently, which means sometimes some of my favorite textbooks I need to kind of put on the back shelf for a moment and really embrace what's happening in society today. So as you look at the books that I have here, you'll see a variety of different cultures represented. You'll see obviously there are some animals that are in here too, but they're also representing a very positive lifestyle of different types of family structures. There are immigrant experiences within this as well with landed. And I Am Jazz is really a beautiful story about a trans child. And The Girl Who Thought in Pictures is a wonderful story about a little girl who is autistic and the great work that she's doing. So just finding these pieces of literature and having them on the shelf really does make a difference to the community of learners and exposes them to multiple pieces of literature that sometimes expand upon who they are, but also gives them an opportunity to see maybe their own lives on the paper. So important concepts to keep in mind as you are choosing your literature pieces. Remember that as you're reading through the textbooks and the books, that relationships, look for the relationships. Are they positive relationships? Are they showing good, really good relationships and healthy relationships to students? Look at the heroes versus the heroines. What are the standards for success that are shown within the textbooks? Is culture simply something that's a costume or an object, or is it central theme and really digging down what we would call deeply to the roots and embracing the culture? What type of words are within this textbook that you're reading? Are they what we would call loaded words, or are they words that are congruent with the story and representative of the culture that is being expressed? And also take a look at portrayals of people of color, female characters with disabilities. These are just some of the concepts that should be within your library. So, now that we're kind of thinking about the importance of an inclusive library that really honors all students, I'm going to take you through just 4 very simple ways to evaluate the text through some critical questioning. So one thing we're going to take a quick look at will be considering the context of the book, examining the illustrations, analyze the messages, and then weighing the words. So when we start to talk about considering the context, so you have this wonderful book that you're super excited about, but you need to dig a little deeper. What is the author's background? Is the author an authentic author? So for instance, Bow Wow Powwow is just a really lovely story about a young lady who takes a trip with her uncle to a powwow, and she learns about her culture. And it's just a wonderful story about relationships and embracing the native culture. This book is written by an Ojibwe, so it's very authentic in the way that it's written. So doing some research on the author's background is a really important piece. Looking at the copyright date, really putting into context what's happening in society during that copyright date, and is it appropriate for that time and space? Is it high quality literature? And what does it teach? And we're going to dig a little deeper into that. What does it teach? But these are just some questions you can ask as you are considering the context of your library books. And then another one is examining the illustrations. So really take a deep dive into the illustrations and really ask yourself these questions. Are there offensive images? Are there images that are stereotypical of a culture or a race that is just would be considered offensive? Are there diverse characters, and are those diverse characters accurately illustrated? So that's kind of the switch here, right? So making sure that the diverse characters really are accurately illustrated. And then do the illustrations match the story? So you want to make sure that you're asking yourself these questions as you go back through and look at the pictures within your books. And then analyzing the message, right? What is the overall message of this book? What is it trying to portray? And this is a big one. Are you comfortable sharing it with the children and families in and of your classroom? And if you're not, it's okay. But it also means it's probably a book that you would not want to have in your classroom library if it is uncomfortable with, at this moment, for you to be discussing with your students. Does it promote respect? Does the message promote respect? And are the diverse characters shown in leadership roles and having realistic lives? And then finally, weighing the words. So of course, by now you've read the book several times, you've looked at the context, right? You've looked at the illustrations, and now you're going to go back and you're going to weigh the words and really see, are there problematic and or offensive words that typical, lazy, silly, words that may be considered offensive? And if there are dialects, are those dialects used appropriately and respectfully? So just real simple questions and 4 really simple categories that you can go through as you are looking to really build up a classroom library that is diverse and really crosses culture and really embraces all students in your community. So here's what you may want to do is go and look at your current classroom library and randomly just pull off maybe 5 or 10 books off the shelves, and take it through that 4-step process and see whether or not you feel that the books that you currently have in your classroom library are actually inclusive and diverse. And then reread the books again with a focus of diversity inclusion, and then continue to be intentional with your book choices. You know, diverse representation in children's literature is so important. And it's not only because our children are empowered, right, by seeing themselves in books, but also because children's worldviews are expanded by seeing people different from themselves as represented in books. So by forming an intentional, diverse, and all-inclusive library, you will just engage your community of learners that much more, intentionally, and foster their love of learning and expand their horizons.